to another episode of Wit, Grit, and No Bullshit with your girl Sin City. I told y'all I'm going to keep switching it up till we figure out where we're going with this thing and if we're going to even continue this podcast. Tonight's episode is going to be completely different than any of the other ones. Even last week's, or not last week, because we didn't do one last week, the week before. This week is dedicated to information I wish I would have known. Number one, when it comes to joining the military, when it comes to once I left the military, just remember, I do not speak for the military. I am not a representation of the military. I do not represent the DOD. None of that. All right? Now that is out of the way. So for anybody that's thinking about joining, I will always tell you this. Make sure you do your own research. Don't listen to just what everybody else tells you. Everybody's experience is different. What they go through, what they see, and what they made of their time in the military is going to be different than you. So never just go by word of mouth. Do research. Don't pick a branch based on what your family members tell you, because I was going in the Army, and then my cousin was like, if you join the Army, I will disown you. This is not for you, because at the time he was in the Army. So yeah, do your own research, decide what's best for you, and what's going to make you happy. Just know right now there's a lot of stuff happening in the world, so it may not be the best time, because of all the different stuff happening in the world right now. It's a lot going on, so you might end up somewhere. Is all I'm saying. But yeah, things that I wish that I would have known. I think the biggest thing that I wish I would have known before joining is how often I would be gone somewhere. Number one, you travel a lot, but it also depends, right? Because not everybody's career is the same, like I said before. Some people don't ever deploy, some people don't ever go TDY, some people get lucky and are pretty consistent in their time within the military of, traveling or not traveling, whatever. I traveled a lot. I deployed a lot. I went TDY a lot. That was part of the reason why I retired, because I wanted a little bit of stability for my family. Because if you're not cool with moving a lot or, bouncing around, it may not be for you. Excuse my loud husband. So that's one thing that I wish I would have known is, the amount of time that you're on the road or gone. Because my dad, when he was in the military, was before, because it's my stepdad, so it was before, I really was around him like that. So I didn't, know that part of it. I grew up on a base, meaning my mom worked on base, so I spent a lot of my time on base and seeing the military lifestyle and stuff, but I didn't know, that aspect of it. So I was very familiar with the military and different jobs in the military before that, but I just didn't know to the extent, of all of that stuff. I also spent 4 years in junior ROTC, so that kind of already prepared me for a lot of the things, right? Because they teach you a lot. And I loved junior ROTC. That kind of paved the way for me to let me know that this is what I was going to do. So yeah, that. Another thing I wish I would have known before I left. Number one, I wish I would have been more prepared for PT. I kind of knew some of the stuff when it came to PT. So I did prepare myself a little bit for basic training. But at the same time, I don't think I was prepared enough. I wish I would have worked out more and been more, especially upper body strength, because that's always been my weakness. So I wish I would have been more prepared for that. I ran track in high school, so the long distance part is what I'm used to. So I wish I would have prepared myself more for being able to run a mile and a half. without any issues. I also had injuries in the very beginning. So I got injured in tech school. So getting injured in tech school kind of like set me up for failure because it took me a while to, I want to say like, because I tore both my calf muscles in tech school. How the hell you do that? Don't ask me. Don't ask me. I still don't know how I did it, but I did it. And so it took me a while, because even once I got to my first duty station, it took me a while to be able to run without being in pain. Also, the difference in growing up in Louisiana, obviously I graduated high school in Italy, but the difference of running in Louisiana and in Aviano is not the same when it comes to running in New Jersey. So that's another one. Being able to prepare yourself to run in different climates, bruh, that's a big one. So yeah, preparing myself better when it came to PT. You know, and then just like being a female, there's a lot of things that you can experience or go through. So mentally preparing myself for a lot of that. Which I kind of was prepared in some regard, but in the other, you're never really prepared. I'm not going to get into that today. That's a whole nother episode, but you know, there's things that you could experience as being a female in the military. Exposures you could be exposed to, and you know, and how to bounce back mentally from those situations, you know. So there's that. I would just say I was very, I don't want to say, well, I guess mouthy, but I spoke up a lot for myself, which was not a good thing. Especially, you know, being a black female, they already believe that you have an attitude problem, or that you're going to be a bitch, or this, that, and the third. So, like, I had to learn very quick that not everything was worth speaking up for. However, at the same time, there were a lot of things that I wish I would have spoken up for that I didn't. And it's mainly because of my experiences when I was, you know, from an A1C to a senior airman. I got talked to so much about, you know, speaking up a lot and saying things, and especially posting shit on social media back then, that it got to a point where I stopped saying stuff and just letting a lot of shit slide that I regret. You know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of things that I should have spoke up and said things about, especially when it came to discrimination issues or racism. But I was so worried about ruffling feathers and causing issues within the office that I didn't. And so I didn't speak up at the times I really needed to. But I can tell you, I also wouldn't let shit slide when it came to my airmen. It wasn't none of that. Like, we wasn't finna do that. You wasn't finna disrespect or, you know, do no sideways stuff to my troops, because then I didn't care. Like, the crazy part is I would always stand up and say something when it came to other people, but when it came to things towards me, I wouldn't say nothing. And I would just be like, okay, yep. And on the inside, I'd have probably choked you out about 3 times. But on the outside, I'd just be like, yep, you right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But if you said or did something to my people, I got lippy, if you will. But then I learned, the longer I was in, you have to pick and choose your battles. Not everything is worth, you know, fighting or arguing about or having issues with. But it's still when it came to my people, like, I'm the only one that's gonna, get on them or have an issue with them. You can say what you want when you ain't around me, but when you around me, we ain't cut all that out. You ain't finna be talking about my people. Even if I knew sometimes they were wrong, I feel like, but then I would pull them aside and address them. Like, I'm gonna protect them in front of whoever is saying whatever. But if they said some shit that I was like, you know what, they right, then I'm pulling them aside and be like, hey, if somebody came and said something to me today about X, Y, and Z, and, I gotta say, what they said was right. You need to fix yourself, fix your shit, whatever, whatever the case is. So I'm not gonna just, like, take up for you and let that shit slide at the same time, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna take up for you in that moment, but I'm still gonna get your ass and correct the situation. Like, we're not doing it. And, there's a lot of times where I'm sure my people couldn't stand me because I would be on them hard, but, this is what I didn't get either when I was an airman. Like, when I had supervisors or leadership that was hard on me, and I thought they just hated me, or I wasn't a good airman, or what, like, I really, really had self-esteem issues and, all kind of shit because of, like, when I would get talked to or they would get on me about stuff, like, that would break me down so bad. I wouldn't let them see it, but when I would go home, that shit would devastate me, especially if it was somebody in my leadership chain that I really respected or looked up to. That shit would crush my world. I'd be like, oh no, I gotta figure it out, because I can't have this, you know what I mean? But when I would be in that moment, I'd be heated. I would have so many different emotions, but I don't think they could tell except for my face. My face says a lot. I am not good at hiding my emotions on my face. That has been my biggest problem my whole time I was in the military. I got talked to so much about my face. Like, your face says everything. You need to fix your fucking face. I'd be like, what you want me to do with it? I can't stop it. I can't get rid of this. I don't know what you want, okay? So it would drive me nuts, because especially if we're in a meeting and somebody say some dumb shit in this meeting, I know my face is like, bitch, what? But I know it's saying it. And I'd be over there trying so hard to, like, look around the room and look at everything else so that I'm not making faces, but I already knew. I already knew my face was telling it all. But, those are some of the things that I wish I would have known before I left. Like, because I already knew, how the rank system worked. I already knew, I had to do my job. And, one thing I didn't know is, like, the additional duties, right? Additional duties suck, period. I already knew, like, being in the military, you're going to do some shit that sucks. Like, it is the military. Like, you're going to do shit that sucks. Like, you gotta man up and deal with it, right? But my first duty station was in New Jersey. First of all, those that know me know I'm originally from New York, right? And that don't mean shit. I didn't grow up there. I left New York, New Jersey area when I was 2.5. I don't know nothing about that cold weather. You know what I mean? Like, and I also know it's not for me. I am subtropical. The cold is not for me. Like, that is not where my comfort level is at all. So when I got stationed in Jersey, I was pretty salty, but I was also happy because it made me be close to home, because Staten Island was only like an hour away, hour 15, right? So I would jump across the bridge and be home in a sec, you know what I mean? So, like, it was never a bad thing to be there, but at the same time, it was a terrible thing, because I am not meant for the cold. So we had a blizzard. It was 18 inches and still falling, my guy, okay? And they apparently had me on snow removal detail. TB, if you see this, yes, I'm talking shit, okay? Because I was salty with y'all. Ulu, if you see this, I'm talking shit because I was salty. And I'm still salty to this day, 20-something years later. I'm still salty. So we had, they had me on snow removal detail. I still don't know why my name was on this list because I was supposed to PCS like in 2 weeks. And some reason my name was still on this list. And we got a blizzard. And they called me and were like, Carrington, you need to go in and shovel snow. Bitch, what? Like, snow? I don't know if you know this, but we maybe get an inch and a half to 2 inches max in Louisiana. We don't get no snow. And you want me to walk in the snow to shovel snow? Yes, I had a car, but my car had snow halfway up the side of the car. So my car was not going nowhere. And they told me I had to walk to work in the snow to shovel snow. Mind you, the dorms were nowhere near close to my building. It may have been close for some people, but it wasn't close for me to be walking in no snow. So I said to them, what happens if I don't show up? And they said, if you do not come to work, you will get an Article 15 for dereliction of duty or disrespect to... I don't remember what the hell they told me. They told me I was getting something, but it was going to be an Article 15. And I was like... I said, is anybody else coming to shovel this snow with me? And they said, oh, yeah. The rest of the snow removal team should be there. So I start walking. Mind you, I'm crying. I got tears running down my face, and the tears are freezing on my face because it is so fucking cold. I got probably halfway there when a SUV full of dudes saw me walking. They drove past me laughing, and I guess they felt bad, and they turned around and came back and got me. And then they drove me the rest of the way to work. I get there, and oh, mind you, when they called me, I said, why am I going to the building to shovel snow? Like, the building's closed. And they were like, because air crew needs to be able to get in and out of the building. I said, I know y'all motherfucking lying. What air crew is going in and out of the building during a blizzard? Well, you never know. I know what they were trying to do in that moment. They were trying to teach me discipline. But no. Fuck all that. Like, no. Like, when I tell y'all I was pissed past pistivity. I called my mom and daddy. I was cussing. I was so mad. I was like, these people want me to walk in the snow, to shovel snow during a blizzard. I said, it is 18 inches and still falling. And my dad is trying so hard not to laugh. He's like, see, this is because I wanted to be a cop in the military. And my dad was like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. He's like, you're not finna call me when you out in different types of weather, crying and mad. I don't even want to hear it. So, of course, when I call him, he's like, see, and this is why I ain't want you to be no cop. Because I ain't want to hear none of this. And I was like, Daddy, this ain't even got nothing to do with that. Like, if this was my actual job, I would probably be less mad. I said, but number one, I am set to leave in 2 weeks. I felt like they was doing it to me to be petty because all of them was still going to be stuck there. Mind you, I got there in February of 2005, and I had orders by May of 2005 to PCS. And everybody was pissed. They were like, you just got here. How do you have orders already? And I was going to Japan at that. That's what I feel like they was all salty, you know what I mean? They was hating on you. They was hating on the kid because I was getting up out of there. Some have been there 5 years and longer. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they was just hating on the kid because they didn't want me to shine. No. They trying to teach me discipline. So they say. I don't believe it. But yeah. So I had to walk up there. Mind you, the shovel was bigger than me. I weighed 110, 115 pounds soaking wet at the time. The shovel was bigger than me. I was slipping and sliding all over that building. Oh, and the kicker is nobody else within the squadron snow removal people showed up. Nobody. Just me. So I got threatened with an Article 15 made to walk in the snow to shovel snow, and nobody else's people were there. It was just me. So I was hotter than fish grease, let me tell you. And then I couldn't even do it because the shovel was so much bigger than me. I was slipping and sliding. The airfield ops dude was watching me on the cameras laughing. He eventually came out there and took the shovel from me and shoveled it for me, which that's why I really don't get why they made me come all the way up there when you got people already in the building working. Ask them to do it. Yeah, I was hot. And then he had to drive me back to my dorms, and he had a BMW. We just fishtailing down the street, all down the road. I thought I was going to die. I was like, you know what? Maybe the military's not for me. There were so many days when I was in New Jersey, I think I should just get out. I don't think I need to be in the military. I think I need to get out. I had 2 terrible relationships, actually 3 terrible relationships while I was there. 2 of them primarily because I had one boyfriend for, I was dating him before I got to New Jersey, and he happened to be stationed there. And then the other one was supposedly my best friend before we started dating, and then he still wound up being a whore. And cheating on me. That's a whole nother episode. Okay, we don't even get into that. So I want to say that's really it about what I wish I would have known before I joined. Oh, and investing. Obviously, a lot of us didn't know how to invest when we were young. We didn't know the importance of taking care of money and saving money and TSP and all that, because I didn't really learn about TSP until, I want to say I learned about TSP after my first deployment, maybe. So while I was in Japan, so it might have been my first deployment, maybe my second deployment to Iraq. My second deployment, but it was my first deployment to Iraq because I went to Iraq twice. So it might have been my second deployment is maybe when I started learning about, TSP and all that stuff. And I still didn't really understand it, so I never really invested like I should have in it until I was later in my career. So those are things. So if you're planning on going in, make sure you sit down with somebody to explain to you about TSP. Explain to you about investing money. That way you're financially aware. Also, do not get a star card. That's another thing I wish I would have known. And don't buy a car when you're in tech school. Don't buy a car when you're in tech school. If you buy a car at your first duty station, let somebody who's knowledgeable in cars go with you to purchase your first car so you don't get scammed, because a lot of the car dealerships, especially right outside of bases, are good for scamming young airmen into buying a car with a 16-17% interest rate. I'm not saying I did that, but just make sure you're knowledgeable. So when it comes to when it was getting time for me to retire, things like, because you go to TAPS, that's a requirement, is to attend TAPS. I always recommend to people to attend at least twice. You can go more than that, but I always recommend going at least twice. And if you can go at 2 different duty stations, I suggest that. The reason why I say that is because you're going to get different information, right? Some TAPS programs have more information than others. Some give you way more resources, especially the place that you're going to retire at. Absolutely go to TAPS there, because they're going to tell you what resources are available to you in that area. If you are not able to go to a TAPS at your location that you plan to reside at, see if there is a person you can reach out to at that, if there's a base near there, to get information before you retire or separate. because then they can give you specific information to that location. So because we were retiring here in Louisiana, it was easy because they were able to tell us resources. They were able to tell us the benefits that we would receive, especially if we were able to get disability from the VA. That's all kind of information that's important. The biggest thing that I would say, if you are separating or retired, start your VA claim as early as possible. And what I mean is not just the claim itself, but preparing yourself. So making sure you're getting your medical records well in advance. If it's possible, try to get a paper copy and a digital copy. I want to say you can get one set a year. I think it's either every 6 months or a year. It's one or two. Okay. Anyways, so you can get one set a year, I believe. So I got my paper records. Whoo, and them things was thick. Okay, I got the paper records first. That let me sit down and go through and highlight and kind of prepare myself to know what I should see on my claim. In the front of that, of your records, it's going to have a section that says everything that has been diagnosed. Everything on that page should absolutely be on your claim. Everything that's on your diagnosed page should be on your claim without a doubt. And then there may be some stuff in there that wasn't officially diagnosed, but if you can get records from specialists to confirm that diagnosis, then make sure you do that. And what I mean by that is sometimes you go off base to see specialists and that stuff doesn't make it back to your on-base providers. So sometimes that's why it's not shown on there as an actual diagnosis, because they know that they sent you to see someone for that, so it may be in your records, but if that specialist never gave you an official diagnosis, now you need to get those records to confirm that diagnosis. That's what really takes the longest, is getting your records from your off-base providers. So I say start doing that stuff as early as 2 years out. If you know you went to see off-base providers, especially in different states or countries, you need to start reaching out to them in advance to get that information, to start getting those records sent to you, because that could take a while, getting those records, right? So making sure you're reaching out to those folks, getting your records, and making sure that you're getting that to go with your documents that you give to your person within the VA that's going to help you. So there's different people that you can work with within the VA. I'm trying to remember what they're called. Hold on. Let me go to the old Googles.
Sorry.
Let's see. What are they called? I know one is a, can't remember what they're called right now. Oh, VSO, your Veteran Service Organization. So your VSO is one of them. And there's another one. There's a VSO. There's some that starts with a D. I can't remember what it is. You can also have a VA attorney that can also help you. But whoever you use, make sure that you are talking to them as much as possible, because you want to make sure you keep them in the loop on everything, and that you're staying in constant communication. Whoever is your rep that's going to help you. Another thing that I will say is remember that your uniform does not define you, right? Especially if you spend a lot of time in the military, if you spent 5 years or longer in the military, this may be what you've known for the last 5 to 20 something years, right? And sometimes we forget who we are without this uniform on. And so once you take it off, you kind of feel lost. You may miss the Lord, words are hard today. You may miss the friendships that you made along the way. And so you may struggle. You know what I mean? Like I struggled for probably the first 6 to 8 months once I got out of the military because I missed taking care of people. I missed the bonds that I made. I missed I hate to say it, I missed writing evals and awards and going to the squadron functions, like those things that you kind of take for granted when you're in the military. But once it's gone, that's just gone, you know what I mean? And you may be so used to, the things that you did all that time that once you're away from it, you kind of feel like you have a void, you know what I mean? So that was probably like the hardest thing for me is the transition. And then when you transition into the civilian sector, it's a big difference. Especially if you have people that you work with that are not military and they've never been around the military. That is a big ass difference. Because my first job after the military, I loved it and I also hated it at the same time. And the reason why I hated it is because it was too slow. Like I was so used to going, and keeping myself busy and occupied, and then I had too much downtime. I had too much time in my thoughts. I felt like I wasn't busy enough. I also felt like I wasn't good enough to be in that role because I felt like I didn't know what I was doing most of the time. I felt like I was steady trying to learn and figure things out, and it wasn't like I went through some form of training before I took it. I just jumped into this role and was like, bro, what am I doing? But I loved it. It was a good experience. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I learned from it, but it was just different. And then obviously, my job now, I'm around other military people again and back in that environment. But at the same time, I don't know if like that's it either, because I feel like that makes me miss being in the military even more, being around military all the time and not being in uniform. So it's a lot of different, like emotions you could go through when it comes to finally taking off the uniform. Besides, the transition could be difficult. And besides being as prepared as possible when it comes to your VA. If you have any specific questions when it comes to your VA steps, reach out, let me know how I can answer those questions for you. If you have any other particular questions when it comes to, transitioning out, or if you're someone looking to join, also let me know. I don't mind answering questions when it comes to any of that stuff. Mind you, me and my husband both were active duty for 20 and 21 years. Very different career fields, but I'm still very knowledgeable in his career field because we talked about it all the time, and I always felt like I was supposed to be a defender in the first place. And before I joined the military, I was a dental tech for the Air Force for 2.5 years. So like I said, I was around the military for a long time before I joined. I worked on base from working at the commissary as a bagger, working at the bowling alley, working in the food court at the BX. All of this was in Aviano. I also worked at the before and after school programs in Aviano. One of the food kitchens on the flight line on Aviano. So I was around Aviano for a hot minute before I joined or whatever. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else major besides the transitioning being hard, preparing your VA stuff is early in advance, always trying to get to TAPS twice, make sure you get as much information as you can before you separate or retire on how to prepare yourself. I did not do Skill Bridge. He did. So making sure you find a program when it comes to Skill Bridge that's going to be super helpful to you. Don't do something just to do it so that you can get out of work for however long you do Skill Bridge. I don't suggest that. I know people who have done it. I don't suggest it. Do something that you're actually interested in doing outside of the military, because a lot of people tell you, oh, the jobs are out there, they're out there. It's so easy to get a job when you're have military experience. I call bullshit, bro. Yes, it was super easy for me to get my first job, but that's because someone helped me into that position. It wasn't because I found it on my own. Oh, another big tip. When you separate or retire, don't jump into a job immediately. I did that. I actually, while I was on terminal leave, was working my first job. So I never took time off. I never took time to relax and to figure out what I wanted to do. I just jumped into something right away because the opportunity was there. Don't feel like you have to take the first job that comes your way. You don't. It's not a requirement. Don't stress yourself out thinking, but I need to figure out where income's coming from or money's coming from. Believe me, you will find something. And if you do your disability claim early enough, you can start receiving your disability before you're even off a terminal. You just got to time that shit right to do it to where you start getting your money right away along with your retirement. But don't rush into something. Find something that you truly want to do, because if you rush into something you don't want to do, then all it's going to do is not help if you already have depression or anxiety. It may make it worse, because I feel like that's what amplified mine. Find something that you want to do. And if you don't know what that is, figure it out. Take time. Like, wait 6 months if you got to, but don't rush into something. Even if you do, go find a temporary job. Go work at Lowe's, something. But don't rush into something just to find a job. Find something that makes you happy. But when people tell you the jobs are out there, that shit ain't true, bro. I'm going to keep it a bug with you. It took me forever to get my current job. Because I was applying everywhere. And was having the hardest time. And then I finally got an opportunity, and I felt like it wasn't a good, like, it would have been great for me and my personality to do what I found, but as far as, like, choosing my words carefully, there would have been some issues eventually, I know. So we'll just leave it at that. And then I found where I'm at now, and, the people are great. The job is great. I just hate traveling all the time. Other than that, it's a great opportunity. So take your time. Don't feel rushed to find something. Because a job will be there. You'll get one. But I'd rather you find something that makes you happy, because you spent the last however many years doing, what other people wanted you to do. Find something that's what you want to do. That's my biggest suggestion. Really, I think that's it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to script it out. I wanted us to just have a conversation and just talk and go through some of my lessons learned. But yeah. And also, don't stress yourself or give yourself anxiety if you have a hard time finding work right away. Because my husband was stressing when he was trying to find something after he retired. And the first few months of being off and not having a job was cool. He kept himself busy, worked out all the time, did a lot of stuff around the house. But then after a while, he started getting antsy. It was stressing. And I was like, hey man, you gotta chill out. You'll find something. You can't keep freaking out over everything. So, but yeah. Really, I think that's it. We're already 40 minutes in at this point. I told you guys I don't ever want to go over 45 minutes. And if I do, it's because I have a guest. So, to close out this episode, biggest thing I want to say is, if you guys haven't seen the player from the Cowboys that we lost this week, check on your strong friends. You know what I mean? Like, just because someone seems like they're strong and they've got their head on straight and that everything's going good doesn't mean it is. You know, I think the coach from Nebraska said, you know, he should have been at a high point in his life after scoring his first NFL touchdown this week. But obviously he had other things going on. You know, he just lost his mother within the last 2 years. That baby had something deep in his heart that he was struggling with. So just because your friends look like they're strong, just because they look like they're doing okay, doesn't mean they are. And people will say they're okay really when they're not. Biggest thing I will always tell you is, before someone commits suicide, there were signs. There's always going to be signs. And you know, people always like, I wish I would have known, I wish I would have saw it. They've shown you. They've shown you the signs. They were there. You just missed it because you weren't paying attention. A lot of times we're very self-absorbed with what we got going on in our own lives that we're not paying attention. And because we think they're the strong friend, we're really not paying attention. So, take care of yourself. Take care of your friends. And if you are someone who's struggling or going through a hard time, don't be afraid to ask for help. Believe me, it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you someone who you feel may be a burden to others. You're never alone. I guarantee there's someone else going through something similar or something even harder than what you're going through. So never be afraid to ask for help. And believe me, just because you're hurting right now, by you ending it, doesn't relieve the pain. All it does is pass it on to someone else. So with that being said, love, peace, fish grease, I'm out.